Melissa Gilbert was born on May 8, 1964 in Los Angeles, California, and adopted shortly after birth by actor and comedian Paul Gilbert and his wife, Barbara Crane. Growing up in a household already connected to the entertainment industry, Melissa was surrounded by cameras, auditions, and creative ambition from an early age. Yet her childhood was not simply defined by opportunity. It was shaped by discipline, expectations, and the need to grow up quickly. Hollywood offered her a path few children experience, but it also demanded maturity long before she was ready for it. Even so, Melissa showed a natural curiosity and emotional awareness that set her apart. Acting became more than a profession. It became a language through which she learned to understand herself and the world around her. Those early years laid the foundation for a life spent balancing public success with private growth. Becoming Laura Ingalls Wilder, Melissa's life changed forever at just 9 years old when she was cast as Laura Ingalls Wilder on Little House on the Prairie. Airing from 1974 to 1983, the series became a cultural touchstone celebrating resilience, family, and moral strength. Melissa's portrayal of Laura, often called Half Pint by Michael Landon's Charles Ingalls, felt genuine and deeply human. Viewers watched her grow up on screen, navigating joy, grief, hardship, and hope with emotional honesty far beyond her years. The role connected her to millions of families across generations, many of whom saw their own values reflected in her performance. Yet while the show offered stability and success, it also placed enormous pressure on a young girl learning who she was under the constant gaze of the public. Laura Ingalls Wilder became a symbol, but Melissa Gilbert was still growing into herself. Life beyond the prairie. After Little House on the Prairie ended, Melissa faced a challenge familiar to many child stars: reinvention. Rather than retreating, she leaned into demanding roles that allowed her to stretch emotionally and professionally. She appeared in numerous made-for-television films, including The Miracle Worker, where she portrayed Helen Keller opposite Patty Duke as Anne Sullivan. The role required vulnerability, discipline, and trust, and it marked a turning point in Melissa's understanding of acting as serious craft rather than childhood play. Projects like Choices of the Heart further proved her ability to take on mature, complex characters. These performances helped her shed the limitations of her earlier image and establish herself as a credible dramatic actress. More importantly, they allowed Melissa to explore emotional depth while learning how to protect herself within an industry that rarely pauses for reflection. Leadership and advocacy in Hollywood. Melissa Gilbert's influence extended far beyond the screen when she served as president of the Screen Actors Guild from 2001 to 2005. In this role, she became a strong advocate for performers' rights, healthcare access, and fair labor practices. Leading thousands of actors through a rapidly changing entertainment landscape required resilience, diplomacy, and courage. Melissa approached the position not as a celebrity figurehead, but as someone who deeply understood the vulnerabilities of performers, especially those who began working at a young age. Her tenure reflected a commitment to service rather than spotlight, and it reshaped how many viewed her contributions to the industry. This chapter of her life revealed a woman willing to stand up for others, using her voice to protect those who often felt powerless behind the scenes. Leadership became another form of storytelling, one rooted in responsibility, writing, reflection, and healing. As she matured, Melissa turned increasingly to writing as a way to process her life experiences. Her memoir, Prairie Tale, offered readers an unfiltered look at growing up in Hollywood, navigating expectations, and learning from personal struggles. Written with honesty and grace, the book resonated with fans who appreciated her openness and humanity. She later published My Prairie Cookbook, blending family recipes with memories from her Little House years, creating a bridge between nostalgia and self-reflection. Writing allowed Melissa to slow down and reclaim her narrative on her own terms. Rather than presenting a flawless image, she embraced authenticity, acknowledging that growth often comes through difficulty. These books were not about revisiting fame, but about finding meaning beyond it, offering comfort, connection, and reassurance to readers who saw parts of their own journeys reflected in hers. Love, marriage, and personal growth. Melissa Gilbert's personal life unfolded in the public eye, marked by relationships that shaped her understanding of love and partnership. Her marriage to actor Bo Brinkman in 1988 brought the joy of motherhood with the birth of her son Dakota, but also challenges that ultimately led to divorce in 1994. A year later, she married actor Bruce Boxleitner, with whom she shared 16 years of family life and welcomed her son Michael. Their relationship reflected both deep connection and the complexities of blending families while balancing demanding careers. When the marriage ended in 2011, Melissa approached the transition with reflection rather than regret. Each relationship taught her more about resilience, boundaries, and self-worth. Rather than defining herself by endings, she viewed them as chapters that contributed to her emotional growth and deeper understanding of what lasting partnership truly requires. Finding Peace with Timothy Busfield. In 2013, Melissa married actor and director Timothy Busfield, a relationship she often describes as grounded and life-affirming. Together, they chose to step away from the traditional Hollywood lifestyle, settling in Michigan for several years and embracing a slower, more intentional way of living. Melissa immersed herself in community life, home restoration projects, and personal wellness, finding fulfillment beyond fame. The move symbolized a conscious shift toward balance and authenticity. Later relocating to New York City, the couple entered a new phase defined by creativity, companionship, and shared values. This chapter of Melissa's life reflects a woman who has learned to listen to herself, prioritize peace, and choose joy without apology. Love for her became less about spectacle and more about stability, a partnership built on mutual respect and emotional honesty. Working alongside Patty Duke. Melissa Gilbert's connection to Patty Duke began professionally but evolved into something far more meaningful. Working with Duke on The Miracle Worker exposed Melissa to an actress whose intensity and emotional courage left a lasting impression. Patty Duke's performances carried a raw truth that was both inspiring and intimidating, especially to a young actress still finding her footing. Melissa admired Duke's fearlessness and ability to fully inhabit a character, recognizing the depth of commitment required to reach that level of authenticity. At the same time, she sensed that such brilliance often came at a personal cost. Observing Duke up close gave Melissa early insight into the emotional demands of the industry and the importance of self-care. Their professional intersection became a quiet lesson, one about talent, vulnerability, and the fine line between dedication and self-sacrifice. Understanding Patty Duke with time. With age and experience, Melissa's understanding of Patty Duke deepened. As a young actress, she admits she lacked the perspective to fully grasp the challenges Duke faced behind the scenes. Only later, after navigating her own struggles and growth, did Melissa recognize the strength it took for Duke to continue working and eventually speak openly about her experiences. Patty Duke's willingness to share her story helped change conversations in Hollywood, encouraging compassion and understanding rather than judgment. For Melissa, this honesty was transformative. It reframed her view of resilience, not as quiet endurance, but as the courage to acknowledge difficulty and seek balance. Duke's life became a reminder that success does not erase struggle, and that empathy is essential in an industry that often prioritizes performance over humanity. Reflection replaced assumption, and respect replaced misunderstanding. Lessons passed between generations. Melissa Gilbert often reflects on how Patty Duke's journey influenced her own choices. Watching Duke reclaim her narrative later in life gave Melissa permission to do the same, to speak openly, set boundaries, and prioritize well-being over expectations. Rather than seeing Duke's life as a warning, she views it as a testament to endurance and self-advocacy. The lessons were subtle but powerful. Fame does not protect against hardship, and honesty can be a source of healing. Melissa's reflections are not rooted in comparison, but in shared understanding. Both women navigated visibility, pressure, and personal evolution in different eras, yet their experiences intersected in meaningful ways. These lessons shaped how Melissa approached motherhood, leadership, and self-reflection, reinforcing the belief that growth is lifelong and that compassion toward oneself and others is essential. Choosing truth, compassion, and legacy. At 61, Melissa Gilbert speaks not with bitterness or regret, but with clarity and compassion. Her reflections on Patty Duke are not revelations meant to shock, but truths meant to honor a fellow artist and human being. She emphasizes that struggle does not define a person, it shapes them. By sharing her perspective, Melissa contributes to a broader conversation about empathy, mental wellness, and the realities behind public success. Her voice carries the weight of lived experience, offering reassurance rather than judgment. In choosing to speak openly, she reminds audiences that vulnerability can be a gift, especially when shared with kindness. Melissa Gilbert's journey, from child star to thoughtful elder of the industry, stands as a testament to resilience, self-awareness, and the enduring power of telling one's story with honesty and heart.